Tommy, have you heard of the GR Corolla?
I sure have.
The GR Supra?
Uh-huh.
Well, for 2026, there is now a GR RAV4.
Well, hold on there. It's not a full-blown GR. This is a GR Sport. Now, you guys have probably heard of BMW M, and then the M Sport, or the Mercedes AMG. This is the AMG line. It's like the GR Lite. Which
means that there's a lot of badging and some suspension tweaks, but let's go back to a lot of badging, because you know it's a GR because there's a GR there, there's a GR on the brake caliper, inside there is a GR on the steering wheel, there's a GR over here on the headrest. There's just a lot of GRs, but before we drive it, let's talk about what makes this, well, it's no faster than the regular one, but it certainly probably handles better.
Yeah, so it looks a lot more special, and there are some pretty big suspension changes. Now, suspension changes, it sits 15 millimeters lower, or about half an inch lower. So the standard one is 8.1 inches of ground clearance. This one has 7.5. The wheels are also different and lighter. So we're looking at these kind of cool two-tone wheels that are roughly 4.8 pounds lighter per wheel. So there's a pretty significant weight difference. It also has different dampers. It's got a reprogrammed power steering system in sport mode. It's got a different rear bar. So there are differences mechanically, but the big changes, Dad,
is right here, the spoiler.
Well, yeah, the styling. Yeah. Well, yeah, you're right.
It's got the spoiler where it creates more downforce, apparently, to give you a more sporty look.
I mean, yeah, so like it's just got a very different look than the standard RAV4. Coming back to the front end, it's got this huge grille that really lets in a lot more air, and it's got these very aggressive styling treatments around the fog lights that really give it a different look, along with that lower front splitter. I actually think that the front end looks really, really neat. It's a little fast and furious, and when you combine that with a slightly wider stance from those wheels, it gives it an interesting look for sure.
Now, what makes this a little bit more special is that this only comes as a plug-in hybrid. All RAV4s are hybrids, some are plug-in hybrids, and this one is the plug-in hybrid. It's got a 22 kilowatt hour battery, which gives you what, between 40 and 50 miles of all electric range?
So I think on this one they're saying 48 miles, which is pretty good. It's more than the old one. And the horsepower is kind of off the charts. So we're looking at 324 horsepower, which is more than the outgoing Prime. And when you combine that with, if you get the right trim of plug-in hybrid, 52 miles of all electric range, that's pretty crazy. And here's where you plug it in.
You know, long before you were even born, Tommy, I owned a Nissan 300ZX twin turbo, and that made a mind-bending, blowing 300 horsepower. And here you basically have a mid-size crossover that's making more power now. This is crazy times we live in.
So I just drove the new Volkswagen Tiguan SEL R-Line Turbo, and that's got that souped-up 2-liter turbo engine. That one makes 268 horsepower. A CX-5 turbo makes like 256. So coming in at over 320 horsepower, this is the heavyweight in the small crossover class.
Now there are 3 different models of the new RAV4. There's this one, there's the Woodster, as I like to call it.
The Woodsman.
Woodland.
Woodland. Geez, you got me all messed up. Woodster.
That's the off-roady one. It used to be called the Adventure or TRD. And then, of course,
you've got the Core, which is like LE, XLE Limited. Yeah.
And we've got video reviews of all those over at All TFL. So if you want to see what the cheaper one looks like, what the off-roady one looks like, head on over there. But today we're going to be looking at this, the sporty one. Now, let's talk about room. The chassis on the new RAV4, Tommy, is not that different from the chassis from the previous generation.
So it's the same 105.9-inch wheelbase. The GR Sport is a little longer than the outgoing one. I think it's just over 181 inches total. How's your space back here?
It's great. I got plenty of headroom. I've got plenty of knee room. I've got my little vents here. I got 2 USB-C ports. I don't have a sunroof, probably lightweightiness to make this more agile in the corners, which we'll find out. But yeah, the RAV4, look, they're not going to change this that much because this is the best-selling car, not in America, Tommy, in the world.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts.
Yeah.
And if we come to the trunk here, we can check out some of the trunk space. Now, this is slightly less space than you're going to find in a Honda CR-V and like a Nissan Rogue.
Actually, it is the best-selling car in America, too. Both America and the world.
So we're looking at 37.5 cubic feet with the seats up. That folds to 70 cubic feet, which you can typically do with one hand. There we go. with the seats folded down. This one, of course, has your little cargo blocker.
And under here, surprise, surprise, is actually a spare tire.
Yeah,
Thank you, Toyota.
Which is cool. Now, Toyota's done something very clever with the battery. A lot of the cars in this class, like a CR-V hybrid, won't have a spare tire because that's where the battery lives. But in the RAV4, if you poke your head underneath the battery, you can see it poking out just there in front of the rear tire. It lives more forward than a lot of its competition, so it allows you to have a spare, which I think is pretty good packaging. One thing I do want to point out, which is kind of strange, is in other versions of the plug-in hybrid, you can get an 11 kilowatt AC charger and 50 kilowatts of DC fast charging. But in the GR Sport, you're limited to 7 kilowatts of AC charging and no DC charging whatsoever. Kind of an odd little thing here in the GR Sport. One of the quirks of getting this spec.
I want to talk about, here, I'll take the camera, and why don't you talk about the inside, because there is some rather nice trim and rather nice and I would say expensive looking seats and interiors here.
Yeah, so for sure. So check this out. This is a really interesting seat design here with kind of a suede Alcantara in the center. And then for a RAV4, it's got a lot of bolstering, which you wouldn't expect. If you get the Woodler, what'd you call it? The Woodster?
The Woodster.
That's got a much flatter
Woodler.
seat. The XLE we were in, it's got a very different seat, but I really like the finish on this GR Sport. It makes it feel like a more exciting inside than your typical RAV4. Now this one also has the big screen. So the old RAV4 topped out about 10 inches. This is a 12.9 inch screen here in the center of this RAV4, and I'll turn it out of the sun so we're not shooting right into the sun.
Could you hold this for a sec?
Yep.
Put my seatbelt on? Thank you. Otherwise it's going to ding like crazy.
So we're just going to come on over here and we'll film the screen a little bit.
There we go. I got it.
There we go. So this is a new generation of Toyota infotainment system. It's improved over the old one. I like some of the user interfaces more. I like these new tiles that they have on the home screen, so you can kind of get these shortcuts to some of your EV pages, some of your drive modes like that, and you can customize it. And then you also have your usual settings down here. So this one is out of charge, but luckily it doesn't affect performance because this car will still give you all the performance even if that quote battery is depleted. It keeps a buffer in there. And then let's see what kind of charge and battery settings here. Well, that's interesting. Cool battery while charging. You can turn that on and off. You can set an AC charge current up to 24 amps, and then you can set a battery charge limit. That's pretty unusual for plug-in hybrid.
Yeah, that's usually what you get in a full EV.
Yeah,
and
pretty
to see it in a plug-in hybrid. Now, you've got different modes here. Want to talk about those?
Yeah, so here we can select our kind of on-road drive mode. So we've got normal, eco, sport, and a custom setting. And then here, this is going to be for more of our off-road settings. So you can see we have a trail mode and a snow mode, but with just 7.5 inches of ground clearance, not a lot of trail settings.
Can I ask you something? Why do you need two different drive mode settings?
Yeah, it's a little
confusing. And they do that. They do the same thing in the 4Runner. They do it in the Land Cruiser, where you have like on-road drive modes and off-road drive modes. Just put them in one. And
then over here, we have a cycle to go between EV and hybrid settings. Unfortunately, though, like I said, our EV battery is depleted, so we can't show the EV mode. Center console, we've showed this trick a lot. It opens both ways. You can also take it off, spin it around if you really don't like your elbows being comfortable. But you want another tray, you can do that. And then this one, I do like this. It's got the physical shifter. Easy, simple to use. Steering wheel, got lots of controls, lots of buttons. GR branding, like you said, that with paddle shifters, which we'll try out.
What kind of transmission does this have?
It's an ECVT, planetary gear set.
Yeah, Let's go for a ride. Let's give it the beans as we get on the highway here and see actually what it drives like. I think this is what people are thinking is the best handling. Oh, lots of good cameras. You got one also that's see-through there.
Yeah, full 360 cams. Yeah, I think that's one thing that they've really updated in this new one is the quality of the cameras is a lot better than the outgoing generation. We also have Toyota Safety Sense 4. 4.0.
And you know, the Japanese are having kind of an arms race with the safety stuff, and I applaud them for making sure that me, you, and our loved ones and our pets are safe. So thank you, Japanese, for pretty much including most of the safety equipment as standard, whereas some manufacturers, Porsche, actually charges you for a lot of that.
Oh yeah, a lot of the manufacturers.
GM, sorry.
Yeah, there you go, exactly right. And speaking of some of the other competitors, we mentioned a lot of the competition, but this is such a hugely competitive segment. Pretty much every manufacturer from Stellantis, you could argue the Dodge Hornet is in this, to Chevrolet, to GMC with the Terrain, to Kia with the Sportage, Hyundai with the Tucson. I mean, literally everybody has a car in this segment. It's the hottest segment to be in because they sell so many of these cars.
Now, the second best-selling car in this segment is the Honda CR-V, and they do make a off-roady one, a Woodster, Trail Sport, but they don't make what would be the Honda, like an R, right? They don't make an S or an R.
No, there's no like
CR-V SI, yeah.
Yeah,
doesn't exist.
There's not a lot of kind of competition in this segment in terms of the performance versions.
So you got to hand it to Toyota for trying something new.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of, someone dropped me a comment below, like, what am I missing? There's a lot of street-going versions, of course, but why is everybody going the wrong way down the street?
I know, they're all going down the one way. Well, we are obeying the law, and we are using the signage here, the exit sign.
That's weird.
And going the right way.
I guess there's a little bit
By the way, I want to thank Toyota for flying us out here. We're just outside of Phoenix to test drive this and the other two models in the new RAV4. And obviously, Tommy, this is an important car to them. They sell a boat ton of them, so they're not going to make it that dramatically different. But I do give them applause, and I do give them. How's it driving? You're making me a little seasick there.
Well, I'm trying to feel the difference. So in this version, when you go into the sport mode, it weightens up the steering.
Yep.
So it's definitely heavier than what we experienced in the other trims, but I'm not sure it communicates anymore. So it's kind of heavy and numb.
Oh, we're not going to get a lot of speed because we got a Fiesta in front of us.
Maybe she'll give it to me. She's
got
She got that power shift, dual clutch automatic.
Yeah. Oh, she's moving over. Thank God. All
okay,
right,
ready?
Floor it, yeah.
Here we
go. A little wheel spin. There we go.
Yeah. It's actually genuinely very quick.
It is very quick.
Especially off the line. I'm going to give it one more punch. Are you ready?
Yeah.
You get a big response from that electric motor. But three of them, actually, motors.
Yeah, but it is kind of unique in that there's no drive shaft between the engine and the rear wheels, right? It's all electric motor driven.
I do not like this sport mode on the steering. It is so heavy for no reason. So I'm going to go back to normal. Yeah, it's a little bit better. No, this car does drive noticeably different than the standard RAV4. Suspension's a lot firmer. The damping, especially where they changed the shocks, is quite a bit different, and it's not nearly as willing to float when you hit the big low frequency undulations in the road. But the one thing I will say is, like, it's got a lot of speed, but it's not a lot of refined speed. So like I just drove the new Tiguan Turbo, which they're really excited about at Volkswagen, which is a 268 horsepower. That doesn't have as much speed, but you get more experience because you can feel that 8-speed shift. This is kind of just a wave of whoosh, right?
Well, like, if it floats like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, it's just still a CVT. I don't care if it's got planetary gears.
Yeah, but it doesn't wear out like a CVT. It doesn't have a belt.
I don't care about that. It still is droning.
Well, you'd care about it in 15 years when the belt fails.
I'm not going to own it in 15 years.
Well, that's another conversation. But having that electric push is really nice.
I kind of feel like they've kind of stuck their toe in the performance pool, and they're wanting to see if people actually jump in, if the water's fine. And I'd love to actually come out with not a GR line or whatever, GR Sport, but an actual GR RAV4. I think that would be really badass.
Well, they would have to do something like different transmission, different exhaust, I think. Right?
Which brings up the question, how much does this thing cost?
We don't know the pricing on this. I think we know that the new generation of RAV4 starts in the low 30s, but that's all they're telling us. This doesn't go on sale for a while, so the standard hybrid's going on sale starting in December. But the GR Sport and the other plug-in hybrids don't come on until spring of next year, so it's going to be a little bit of a wait.
I'm going to take a guess. I think you're going to be tickling 50.
Yeah, you think so?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, I think so. And you're right. I mean, if they made a proper GR, then you'd have to have an exhaust, you'd have to have a proper transmission, and then you're probably not tickling 50, but jumping right over 60.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that this is going to be an expensive trim.
But the Germans do that all the time, right? BMW M versions of the X cars are all over the place.
Sure.
So you can get an
X3M,
you can get an
X5M, X6M, all of it.
Yeah, so obviously that's more of a premium brand, but nevertheless, Toyota, let's go for it.
I mean, I think maybe it's a little smaller, but the only car I can kind of say that compares to this from a feeling standpoint, from a performance standpoint, is something like a Hornet RT. The Hornets are actually, they're not great cars, but they're very, very quick. This is a much more refined package as a whole, though. Oh, look, there's another one.
Well, that's because the Hornet is an Alfa Romeo underneath.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, for sure.
Basically,
Sonale, yeah.
Yeah.
But I love the plug-in hybrid thing. You know, I'm glad that the Koreans are kind of stepping in with the plug-in hybrids. I'd love to see Honda have a plug-in hybrid. I'd love Ford to do a plug-in hybrid. Subaru finally is just getting normal hybrids, but they should be doing a plug-in hybrid if they want to compete. So,
a couple other observations. The ride is very compliant.
Sure.
The car is very quiet.
It is a very quiet car, yeah.
And unlike some of the bigger versions that Toyota makes, like the 4Runner or the Land Cruiser, this car feels like it would be much easier to live with because there's not a lot of compromises in terms of off-roadiness, even if you get the Woodster.
Woodland. Like a ferry. It's a woodland ferry.
I like Woodster. You know why they changed it from TRD? Because now Toyota's saying that TRDs only are body on frame, and of course these are not body on frame.
Yeah, and there's never been a GR Sport version of this car ever.
Well, shall we park it and kind of wrap up our final thoughts on what we think of this?
Yeah, I think so. No, there's a lot of cool stuff. I mean, a couple other things you have to note is if you can't get the dual wireless charging trays in the GR Sport. It's kind of weird.
You gotta get the limited.
Yeah. And then this is also running on pretty high performance summer tires. So if you wanted to own this in Colorado, you're probably going to need to change the tires.
For sure. All right,
Yep.
so here's my final thought. If it were me, I would buy this if there was actually a performance difference. It's kind of like the Lobo with the Maverick, right? So it's an appearance package, it's got a little better suspension, but the guts of a performance car are always, you know, under the hood. So Toyota, if you want to get my money, supercharge it, turbocharge it, bigger turbos, give it more power, and then I've got, you know, something to like write home about. And the Japanese do that so well, right? The GR Corolla, great. The GR Supra, great. This is halfway there. Bring it across the finish line, Toyota.
The good news about not having turbos, though, is the fuel economy is still pretty good. So Toyota's saying 37 mpg combined for the GR Sport. But if you get like a standard front-wheel drive normal RAV4, you can get up to 44. So you definitely see a little bit of a sacrifice.
Well, guys, thanks for watching. Head on over to alltfl.com if you want to see the other reviews of the other models, or click on the link below if you want to support our wonderful sponsor. And Tommy, we shall see you next time. Ciao.
Yeah. Bye, guys. Thanks for watching.